Alone but unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen. There comes a time in every life when the road narrows, the voices fade, and the only sound left is the beating of your own heart. A moment when you stand alone, not by choice, not by chance, but by destiny. It is in that moment that you will ask yourself, do I have what it takes to keep going? There comes a moment in life when silence becomes your only companion. The voices of encouragement fade, the hands that once guided you withdraw, and you find yourself standing alone at the crossroads of uncertainty. It is in this moment that many falter, believing that solitude is a sign of weakness, that being alone means being powerless. But the truth is far from that. Being alone is not a curse. It is a test of endurance, of resilience, of unwavering faith in oneself. It is in solitude that the strongest warriors are forged, where the greatest minds are sharpened, and where true destiny is revealed. When we look back through history, we see that the most powerful transformations happen in solitude. Every great leader, every revolutionary thinker, every unstoppable force faced moments of absolute isolation. Abraham Lincoln, before leading a divided nation, spent years in quiet reflection, reading by candlelight, educating himself in the face of poverty. Nelson Mandela sat in a prison cell for 27 years, cut off from the world, yet his spirit remained unbroken, his purpose clear. These individuals did not crumble under the weight of loneliness. They used it to build something greater. Being alone strips away distractions, forcing you to confront the truth about yourself. It reveals who you are when there is no applause, no reassurance, no external validation. It is in those quiet moments that you either break or rise. When no one is watching, when there is no reward in sight, do you still have the strength to push forward? That is the test. Anyone can march forward with a cheering crowd behind them. But the real question is, can you keep going when the road is empty? Can you run when no one is there to say, keep going? Solitude is a battlefield of the mind. Doubt will creep in like a shadow, whispering that you are not strong enough, that you are wasting your time, that you are lost. But those who understand the power of solitude do not fear it. They embrace it. They use it to sharpen their focus, to refine their vision, to build a foundation so strong that no storm can shake it. It is in solitude that inventors create, that writers craft their masterpieces, that athletes train when no one is watching. The difference between those who succeed and those who fade away is the ability to endure that silence, to push through when there is no immediate reward. Solitude also reveals the true nature of belief. Do you believe in yourself, or do you only believe when others believe in you? The world will not always see. History is not written by the comfortable. It is not shaped by those who follow the crowd, nor is it built by those who wait for approval. It is forged in fire by individuals who stood alone when the world told them to sit down. The greatest movements, the most revolutionary ideas, and the most unshakable legacies were not created by those who were surrounded by support. They were created by those who walked a lonely road, powered by a belief that no one else could yet see. Harriet Tubman was one such figure. She had every reason to remain where she was, to accept the world as it had been given to her. She was born into slavery, denied freedom, denied a voice, denied the basic dignity that every human being deserves. And yet, she refused to accept that as her fate. She walked alone through the dark, guiding herself and countless others toward freedom. There was no safety net. There was no guarantee of success. But she moved forward anyway, because her purpose was stronger than her fear. The same could be said of Nikola Tesla, a man whose mind operated in realms that others could not even fathom. He was surrounded by doubt, dismissed by those who lacked vision, and often left without financial backing because his ideas seemed too radical. And yet, without him, the modern world as we know it would not exist. Electricity, wireless communication, the very foundation of our technological age. These were the dreams of a man who spent much of his life alone, working in obscurity, driven by a force that no one else could comprehend. His isolation did not break him. It defined him. Rosa Parks changed the course of history with a single act of defiance. She did not have an army behind her. She did not have the immediate support of the masses. In that moment on the bus, she was alone. And yet, her refusal to give up her seat sent ripples through the world, igniting a movement that could not be stopped. She did not need a crowd to validate her actions. She did not wait for permission. She understood that change often begins in solitude, that the first step is always taken alone before others find the courage to follow. The world has never been changed by those who waited for acceptance. The pioneers, the rebels, the revolutionaries. These are the people who stood against the tide, who spoke when no one else dared, who walked forward even when the path was uncertain. They were doubted, ridiculed, rejected. But they did not stop. They could not stop, because something inside them burned too brightly to be extinguished. There will be moments in life when you find yourself standing alone, when no one believes in your vision, when the path ahead seems too uncertain. But history has shown us that those moments are where greatness is born. Every major shift, every breakthrough, every act that changed the course of humanity started with one person willing to move forward despite the odds. The question is not whether the world will support you. The question is whether you have the courage to stand alone until it does. The world is not designed to cheer for you at the beginning. It does not hand out applause for dreams that have yet to be realized, nor does it easily accept those who dare to break from the norm. Every great journey starts with resistance, with skepticism, with a wall of doubt built by those who cannot see what you see. If you expect the world to support you, to believe in you, before you have proven yourself, you will be waiting forever. The truth is, the world will not always believe in you. That is not your concern. Your concern is whether you believe in yourself. Throughout history, the greatest minds, the boldest leaders, and the most unstoppable individuals have all faced rejection. They have all been told that they were wasting their time, that their goals were too big, that their dreams were unrealistic. When Thomas Edison was working on the light bulb, he failed thousands of times. People laughed at him, doubted him, told him to give up, but he didn't. He kept going, not because the world encouraged him, but because he had an unshakable belief in his vision. If he had waited for others to believe in him before pushing forward, the world might still be in darkness. J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was rejected by 12 publishers before one finally took a chance on her manuscript. They told her the story wouldn't sell, that it wasn't worth publishing. Imagine if she had listened to them. Imagine if she had allowed the world's doubt to dictate her destiny. She would have given up before ever knowing the impact her words would have on millions of readers. But she didn't need their approval. She needed only her own belief, and that was enough. Even the greatest leaders faced rejection before they found success. When Martin Luther King Jr. stood up against injustice, he was not met with universal applause. He was met with threats, with criticism, with people telling him to stop. But he knew that change does not come from waiting for approval. It comes from moving forward despite resistance. Had he waited for the world to fully embrace his cause before acting, history would have unfolded very different. The truth is, people fear what they do not understand. They reject ideas that challenge their comfort. They dismiss those who dare to dream beyond what is familiar. This is why so many people give up, because they expect support, and when they do not receive it, they assume they are on the wrong path. But the reality is that doubt is often a sign that you are doing something new, something different, something powerful. You must be willing to believe in yourself when no one else does. You must be willing to push forward even when the only encouragement comes from within. The world will not always see your vision until it is complete. It will not always recognize greatness in its early stages. That does not mean you are wrong. That does not mean you should stop. The only validation that truly matters is the belief you hold within yourself. The difference between those who succeed and those who fall away is not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It is the ability to persist despite doubt, to trust in their own path even when the world refuses to. If you wait for universal approval, you will never move. If you wait for the world to believe in you, you will never begin. You do not need their applause. You need only your own determination. The world may not always believe in you, but that is not your concern. Your concern is to keep going until it has no choice but to recognize what you have become. In the wild, the strongest creatures do not move in crowds. The lion does not seek approval from the herd. It walks alone, hunts alone, and commands respect not because of numbers, but because of power. The eagle does not fly in flocks. It soars high above the rest, cutting through the sky with precision, focused only on its path. Nature has already shown us that true strength does not come from blending in, but from standing apart. The most dominant forces in the world do not seek comfort in numbers. They embrace the solitude that allows them to rise above the ordinary. The lion is called the king of the jungle, not because it is the biggest or the fastest, but because of its mindset. It does not rely on others for its survival. It does not follow the movements of the crowd. Instead, it moves with confidence, knowing that its strength comes from within. When it hunts, it does not need an audience. When it roars, it does not need validation. Its power is undeniable, whether others recognize it or not. The lion's presence alone commands attention because it has mastered the art of standing strong in solitude. The eagle, too, is a symbol of power and dominance, but it does not travel in packs like smaller birds. While others remain close to the ground, the eagle ascends to the highest heights, where the air is thinner, where the competition is scarce. It does not waste its energy following others. It flies alone, because that is where it belongs. And because of this, it sees what others cannot. It has a vision so sharp that it can spot its target from miles away, a clarity that comes from knowing its path and refusing to be distracted by the noise below. The same is true in life. The people who achieve greatness do not do so by following the crowd. They do not seek comfort in numbers or wait for others to guide them. They move forward with purpose, even when it means walking alone. They understand that solitude is not a weakness, it is a necessity. It is in that space, away from distractions, away from opinions, away from the noise, that true power is built. Throughout history, the most remarkable individuals have been those who embrace solitude. The inventors, the leaders, the artists, the visionaries. They were not part of the crowd. They were different. They were misunderstood, but they kept going because they knew that greatness is not found in the safety of numbers. It is found in the willingness to break away, to carve a new path, to rise when others remain grounded. Look at those who have changed the world. They did not wait for permission. They did not seek approval. They understood that being alone is often a sign that they were on the right path. Albert Einstein spent hours in isolation, thinking, questioning, imagining the universe in ways no one else could. Michael Jordan practiced in silence long before the cameras and the championships, pushing himself to a level that others could not see. These individuals did not need the world to validate them. They validated themselves. The truth is, most people fear being alone. They fear stepping away from the crowd because they equate solitude with weakness. But the strongest among us know better. They understand that the most powerful forces, the lion, the eagle, the leader, the champion, are those who do not rely on the group for strength. They create their own. They know that walking alone is not a sign of weakness, but of undeniable power. And because of that, they rise above the rest. Doubt is a universal language. It is spoken by those who have never dared to dream beyond what they can see. It is whispered by those who fear change, who cling to comfort, who believe that the world is meant to stay exactly as it is. Resistance is inevitable when you choose to rise above mediocrity. People will tell you that your goals are impossible, that your path is too uncertain, that you are wasting your time. They will remind you of the risks, of the failures, of the countless others who tried and fell short. But the difference between those who succeed and those who remain in the shadows is simple. Winners do not let doubt define them. They let it fuel them. The greatest minds in history have all been met with resistance. They have all faced critics, skeptics, and those who insisted that their dreams were too big. When the Wright brothers were building the first airplane, people laughed at them. Flying was impossible, they said. Humans were never meant to leave the ground. But the Wright brothers did not listen to the laughter. They took that doubt and turned it into determination. Every failure, every crash, every moment of resistance only made them work harder. And because of that, the world took flight. Oprah Winfrey was fired from one of her first jobs in television because her boss told her she wasn't fit for TV. Imagine if she had listened. Imagine if she had allowed someone else's doubt to dictate her destiny. She could have given up. She could have settled. Instead, she took that rejection and used it as fuel. She built an empire. She proved them wrong, not with words, not with arguments, but with results. Every champion has been told at some point that they are not good enough. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. That moment could have destroyed him. He could have accepted it as truth. Instead, he used it as motivation. He practiced harder than ever, not to prove others wrong, but to prove himself right. The result? He became one of the greatest athletes the world has ever seen. Resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is a sign that you are on the right one. If no one doubts you, if no one questions your goals, then your goals are too small. The world does not challenge those who play it safe. It does not resist those who stay in their place. It challenges the ones who dare to change the game. The truth is, doubt will always exist. There will always be people who do not believe in you. There will always be voices telling you to stop, to give up, to stay where it is comfortable. But comfort does not create legends. It does not build leaders. It does not carve names into history. Doubt is the fire that separates the strong from the weak. Those who fear it are consumed by it. Those who embrace it are forged by it. The next time someone tells you that you cannot do something, smile. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Because when you take that doubt and turn it into fuel, when you push forward despite the resistance, when you rise when others expect you to fall, that is when you become unstoppable. The world does not believe in greatness until it is undeniable, and by then it will be too late to stop you. Sure thing. Here's an expansion of that key point. Let's dig into what truly makes a champion. True champions are not defined by trophies, titles, or accolades. They are not born in the spotlight, nor are they crafted by applause. The essence of a champion lies within. It's an unquenchable fire that drives them forward, a hunger that refuses to be satiated, a relentless pursuit of something greater than themselves. It's about the unseen hours of work, the silent sacrifices, the moments when no one is watching and the decision is made to keep going anyway. This is the inner fire, the core of what makes a person unstoppable. Consider the life of someone like Serena Williams. From a young age, she trained with a ferocity that was unmatched, driven not by the cheers of the crowd, but by an inner desire to excel. Long before the Grand Slams and the global fame, it was the countless hours on empty tennis courts, the early mornings, the grueling practice sessions. There were no cameras, no fans, just a young girl with a racket and a dream. Her fire was not fed by the external, her opponents, the expectations, the endorsements. It burned from within, ignited by her own belief in what she could become. Look at someone like Steve Jobs, a man whose vision reshaped the world. He did not create Apple by following trends or listening to focus groups. He pursued his vision with an almost obsessive passion, driven by an internal compass that pointed toward innovation. When he was fired from the very company he created, he did not fold. Instead, he dug deeper, founded new ventures, and returned stronger. His belief in himself and his vision never wavered. That's the inner fire, a refusal to accept defeat, a determination to rise from the ashes stronger than before. The inner fire is not about arrogance or blind confidence. It is about resilience. It is about getting up when you've been knocked down, about trying again when the world expects you to quit. It is about believing in your purpose even when no one else can see it. Michael Jordan famously said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." His greatness wasn't in his talent alone. It was in his willingness to put in the work, to face his failures, and to keep pushing, driven by an internal drive that could not be extinguished. When you look at anyone who has achieved extraordinary success, you will find this common thread. It is the musician who plays late into the night, perfecting their craft when no one is listening. It is the entrepreneur who risks everything, not because the odds are in their favor, but because they cannot ignore the pull of their vision. It is the activist who stands alone in the face of injustice, not because it is easy, but because their conscience demands it. The world often looks for shortcuts, for easy wins, for paths that promise the least resistance. But true champions know that the real victory is in the struggle. It is in those moments of doubt, of challenge, of darkness, that the fire within either flickers out or roars to life. Those who succeed are the ones who feed that fire, who nurture it with discipline, with grit, with a steadfast commitment to their journey. And when that fire burns bright enough, it becomes undeniable. The world cannot help but notice. Success becomes inevitable, not because it was handed over, but because it was earned, fought for, built brick by brick, through sheer determination and an unyielding spirit. The rewards, they are simply echoes of a victory that was won long before anyone else noticed. So when you set out on your path, remember that the only validation you truly need is your own. Stoke that fire, protect it from the winds of doubt, feed it with your dreams and your actions, because in the end, the champion you become is not defined by the medals on your shelf, but by the fire in your soul that got you there.